All right, everyone, welcome to the podcast that has no name as of right now, but we're going to be talking about Apex in one way, form, or another, and mostly about competitive with the upcoming Krakow tournament, Preseason Invitational. I'm Gulya, I'm the manager of Team Clash for Apex, and with me, there's two other lovely people that will introduce themselves right now.
Okay, I'm Algia. I am the coach, manager, and analyst for Click Esports.
Yeah, I'm Kano. I'm basically the main contributor towards the Apex Legends Liquipedia, which is basically one of the biggest sources for information on tournaments. So basically, all I do is watch a lot of Apex and see what's going on inside the competitive scene.
All right. Since we're gonna be talking about the Krakow tournament, which for people that don't know, it's the so-called preseason invitational, which is gonna happen in about 3 days' time, and it's gonna be in Krakow, obviously, with 80 teams invited. But I think we should touch a bit more on the competitive before this tournament. So, how was the competitive scene of Apex right before this tournament? Let's go back through Apex Pro League, kill races, and we're gonna touch into X Games a tiny bit and explain about people, which was the real first custom lobby with pro teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people that don't know, the game started with Apex Pro League. Algia, can you give us a little rundown about how that worked out and what happened and how these teams were sort of known through this league?
Well, Apex Pro League ran for 8 seasons now? 8 seasons?
Yeah.
8 seasons, yeah. It ran for about 8 seasons. Basically, Apex Pro League is what you would call a sniping, like a queue, I guess, where everyone ready up. Everyone would say go, or everyone would start when the bot said go, and it would be you can only have like 20 teams in one game, and the point system was based off first to fifth place. First place would get 100% of the points, while fifth place would only get 20% of the points, and it would go up by 20% after every placement you'd get. So, APL was basically the main thing, I think, for competitive wise for Apex for the longest time till X Game Invitational came out, till Rank came out finally after like a few months after everybody wanted it, and basically APL now is kind of wishy-washy, I guess you would say, because everyone's playing Krakow scrims now, and it's kind of like the second tier Apex, I'll say right now, basically for APL, and that's basically it, I think.
Yeah, I think they explained it well, and this goes back to the point of I know a lot of people will not understand like who are these people, who are these teams that got invited to Poland, because obviously not a lot of them are big orgs or big names. Actually, a lot of them got picked up by big orgs after they got the invite, and so like a lot of people were like, well, who are these teams? Well, and basically what we're trying to explain is the invites happened through this APL, and Kane will say a bit better about smaller regions where invites happened through other things like hill races, or you were saying as well, ranked, right?
Yeah, basically smaller regions which aren't like Europe or North America, because those had Apex Pro League. Basically either relied on like local kill race tournaments or their ranking system, because I know Australia had one big kill race called the Mogul tournament, and then a couple side kill races, and I think the teams you saw in like the top placing there, those are the teams that have been invited. Another aside from that, like their small kill races, a certain team, Kamikaze, played in a ton of those and won a lot. So basically they've been dominating the kill race scene there, and for regions that I know, like some regions they initially had an invite but they couldn't make it to Krakow, like Vietnam, there was like a couple of local kill races and other teams did good in there. And then for example, I think in Korea and Japan especially, you see that the teams invited there are mostly the teams that are like holding the top ranks in their country based on like the Predator points you can get in the game. I know like Korea has their org MVP, which it makes a lot of sense to invite them. But then there's also in Japan, like there weren't any kill races tournament that I know of, and I think like maybe once the invites were rolled out, I noticed a couple, but their top team, Akihabara Eincount, is just their top team based on like ranked points.
Exactly. So therefore, we'd have this 80 teams. Obviously, I know there were a couple that unfortunately were not able to accept the invite, or because money problems. I think a couple of the Asian teams had some money problems, or
Yeah.
just was too expensive, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from like one team. It's like it was 7K or 8K for them to make it over. Like it just wasn't profitable. But
Well, I do want to ask: was EA like accommodating any of these teams for anything, or did everyone have to pay their own way?
I don't know. In the rules, it does say like some teams might be accounted for, but mainly people have to pay their own way.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that being said, I think we should touch a bit onto X Games as well. So, like we explained a bit about what was before, and let's touch a bit on X Games, which was the first custom LAN tournament, which had 15 invited teams. I'm sorry, 15 invited teams, of which 14 were American and Alliance.
Yeah.
Plus 5 that came from qualifier, which was a kill race qualifier, which is probably the reason why we now have a full invite tournament instead of kill race qualifiers.
Yeah.
that was a mess.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and 2 of them were European, 2 of them were North American, 1 Oceanic. And the thing about it is, like, why would they invite 14 of the 15 teams are American teams, like full American rosters? Why not like invite 10, then just have like 5 just for European? Because I mean, they deserve to come too. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
In general, most of the orcs you saw at the time were North American, and generally the European orcs are either like a bit smaller or just, I don't know, probably because it was in America, it was cheaper for them to also set up there.
Okay,
I think
that
was
sense.
most of the reason. After that, I think they did want some regional representation, of course, for their first tournament. But I think also X Games is in general a pretty like American tournament on its own for the sporting events, as far as I know.
Yeah, for the most part it is.
No, yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So for those kids, like every team that participate also in the X Games have also all been invited to the Krakow Invitational. Some teams have changed a bit of their roster, which we'll probably touch on later. But yeah, those 20 teams are basically all there. And then the other 60 teams have, of course, been invited on the fact that either they're a large organization, the Apex Pro League, or regional dominance, I guess.
Yeah, I think is a fair enough way to consider teams for at least for this tournament before we have any custom lobbies coming out, which hopefully will be soon. I think nobody knows, but I'm hoping everyone is here praying for custom lobbies to come out soon.
God, dude, it'll be a dream when it does come out. I can actually get a good spectator client so I can actually coach well. I hate going through different VODs of people and only can see their perspective. I can't say anything else, and that makes it such a pain to coach and to do VODs, to make strats, etc. It's just, it's the worst thing. It really is.
All right. That said, I think we should go a bit more in depth into the groups of the actual Krakow. What we think are the teams that, in theory, should do well in different groups, and then maybe give a couple of predictions on what we think will be top 10. Obviously, I don't think we should say exactly how we think people are ending, but because I think it's near impossible considering it's. How BR works in a sort of sense. I think there are teams that seem to be much stronger than others. I think there are teams that probably have a higher chance to win, but obviously not only in BR. I'm gonna say in every game everything is possible.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's also good to touch on the fact that the system, how it works on the Krakow Invitational, it's a double elimination tournament that holds a bracket system and teams compete in different groups, and that's how they have fans. So it's gonna be a shakeup if teams are actually gonna make it to that top 20 to play the finals.
No, yeah, for sure. For sure. It's super interesting. Do you want to go through all the groups at this point, Kano? Or should we just, maybe we should talk maybe group per group and just say who we think are the teams we see doing better?
I think first, just the general how the group system works is.
All right, we didn't touch about that.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, we had to redo this one, so I forgot we didn't talk about it the second time.
So basically, how it works is that it's a double elimination tournament, and it starts with 4 groups, and each group has 20 teams, and they each play 3 rounds, and based on like the points after the 3 rounds, they advance in the winners or losers bracket. Points are gained based on placements and their kills, which is the same point system as in X Games, which was like 1 point per kill, and their placement gave a certain amount of points.
Yeah, where it's top 15 1 point, top 10 2 points, top 5 4, and then it goes 5, 7, 9, 12.
Yeah.
From top 5 onwards.
So basically, the top 10 teams from each group, they advance in the winners bracket. And then, so basically, if you have group A and B, the top 10 advance, and they form a new group of 20 teams in that next round. And so do C and D. So you obviously have, that goes on until you have a finals. And then they provide 10 teams to the final round. And then in the bottom bracket, the bottom 10 teams, they form a new group, just like in the top bracket. Then the bottom 10 of that round, they get eliminated from the tournament and have to watch it out. Yeah. And then the eventual, like, that bracket stage continues, and then they also provide 10 teams for the grand finals.
Exactly. And therefore we get to the final, and and we have the last 20 teams, which are the only teams that are prize money, by the way.
Yeah. And the finals uses a different kind of format. It doesn't use like a set amount of rounds, so it's not like 3 or 4 rounds. They basically set a point threshold. I don't know what this point the amount is at the moment, but what happens is, like, if a team reaches, let's say, 50 points, they're on match point, and as they're on match point, the team has to then win the next game, and then they win the tournament. So what this allows for is, like, multiple teams can get into match point eventually, because it's very unlikely you win the second game after reaching that amount of points. So more teams can get into match point, and they all have a chance to win, which allows for a less anticlimactic ending you often see in like battle royales.
Yep.
Exactly. And at the same time, it's gonna probably make a really interesting final, because people are gonna know, I'm guessing, which team is through the threshold of points. But then again, we don't know, because for all we know, people might not know. No threshold might be told, and just something be said, something like, "This is a threshold. You're gonna know if you are only the team will know," or something like that. It's gonna be interesting to see how they actually give that info in a sort of sense.
Yeah. But yeah, basically what they want to do is they want the climax being like the team that wins the final game, they win the whole tournament, instead of they might have lost the final round, but they have so many points that they won anyway.
Yep.
Or they won the final round and yet they're last.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like, oh yeah, we won, but no, we didn't. We are nothing. Well, I guess it's a bit how it goes.
It's gonna be interesting. I think it's the first time a battle royale does something like this, and it's gonna be interesting to see how it works. I'm gonna say, like, obviously, it's everything is a bit of a trial and error, so I'm really interested to see about this format. I'm also interested to see if it's gonna end up being like maybe like 18 teams get to the threshold before someone actually wins it,
Yeah, exactly.
and how long that's gonna last.
Well, we're in for a marathon of Apex.
Yeah. All right, so we went over a bit of the way the tournament works. So we explained the final, which is the main difference, and the double bracket idea that gives teams a second chance. That being said, I think we should probably go over the groups and figure out the teams that we think have the best chance of probably going through. I'm gonna start by saying that, in my opinion, Group C and D are the groups that seem more balanced, and where I have a bit more difficulty in seeing the teams that will actually go through. I have, let's say, 3 or 4 names that I'm certain of, and then everyone else, it's a bit, they can fight for the spot. And I'm gonna go with A and B, the ones that are more stacked, more stronger teams, but they seem a bit more clear about who's gonna go through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So at this point, let's start with A and B, which seems like the easiest one to talk about.
Exactly. So Group A, the 20 teams in there are Alliance, which obviously have played in X Games. Then there's FAME. For those that don't know, they were previously called a normal team called ABC, which without an org, and they played in Apex Pro League. Then there's BDS, which is a French team. They also played in Apex Pro League.
Savage. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the old 3D Max team, and then called New Hope.
Yep.
But they made one change.
Yeah.
They lost their Wraith, I think. Pretty sure it was the Wraith.
Yeah,
and they picked up J Savage W that comes from Overwatch.
Yeah. And basically what else is known from them is that aside from like EU Pro League, the French team also had their own Pro League. And they've also generally, like, 3 French teams have also hold the top for the 2 seasons or 3 that they played. So
yeah,
they're basically the best the French has to offer, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think them and Gamers Origin are pretty good, pretty close. And at the same time, I want to say about this team is they were probably the first team to introduce Caustic into competitive play.
Yeah.
They played like 2 or 3 I'm gonna go 2 seasons with Caustic in Pro League before anyone actually started using it.
Okay, so on to the next team is Chaos Esports Club, an American team. I don't know too much about them.
There was an old Dota team. There was I forgot what they were before, but there was like an old Dota team. They had like a good Dota 2. Yeah, Digital Chaos, and they had like a good Dota 2 team, and their founder was like a caster of Dota, and that's really like their whole background was just Dota. Other than that, they're kind of new to the scene of FPS and Apex.
Yeah, in general, I think their Apex team mostly has like Call of Duty, that Battle Royale. They've come from there, from what I thought, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on this if I'm wrong.
I really don't know about the Call of Duty Battle Royale scene, so I wouldn't know.
Oh yeah,
but it's an American team, the Chaos team, so that's the main thing I think we can say about them. They've done okay-ish, I'm gonna say, in the various pro leagues, American pro leagues. So I think they're a team that could do well, but I think nobody really knows what expect from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then up is Complexity. They also played in X Games and did. Not actually sure how well they did there, but
they were like bottom
they got
16.
18th. They got 18th.
They generally played well. I know, like in the Face It Kill Race series, they had a couple of high finishes, but it's kill races. You can't really say much about it. But they did make a change, although not like officially announced through Complexity itself. They're going to be playing with Mirko, I think, instead of. Let's see, who was it?
Yeah, it's on Wikipedia, so I guess I can say about it. Yeah, Mirko's gonna play instead of Kyrek.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good pickup actually. Like Mirko has won I think it was one of the pro leagues seasons in America. I can't remember if it was the pro league because America had a time where open division was split from like pro division, and I don't think they won the pro division. I think they won one of the open divisions right before the split. So they were a really good team, and I think he's a really good pickup for this team because I'm pretty sure he's an in-game leader as well, and it's gonna help them out a lot.
Then there is Astral Esports, which is a team from like
it's a Mexican team.
Yeah, Central America. Also. I really don't know much about them. Like I've never seen
I don't think really many people know much about them at all.
No, nobody knows much about them.
So I guess moving on is Fnatic's an American team, which has, I think they finished 4th at the X Games. Generally pretty high, right?
Yeah, they're 4th.
Yeah. Basically, they did play with Spirit in X Games as well. But he's never like been officially announced, and I think that was generally their great pickup, because Spirit played with a group called Looking for Offers at the time, which was Spirit, Raps, who is now on TSM, and then
Bird,
yeah, who is now playing Team Fire.
No,
wait,
he's not.
No, that's another Bird. There's 2 Birds.
Yeah, Bird. I don't think if he's. I'm gonna check if yet because he's playing for a team, but I'm gonna check if he's announced on Wikipedia. Sorry, guys. Before I say anything.
There's Bird with a D.
Yes, he's playing with Space Station.
Oh yeah.
So he's been announced at least he's on Wikipedia. So I'm not saying anything that is not public.
The
yet.
rosters are generally like there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the rosters that aren't like official somewhere, because I either checked the ESL website by going through it, or just general announcements.
No.
So I think Fnatic with Spirit, they looked really good in X Games as well. I think you generally saw them like playing through the last zone. You saw them in a lot of top plays, and then they just won through there most of their games. So I think like they're one of the better American teams going into this.
No, I agree. It's actually pretty damn insane that they got fourth at X Games with like the least amount of kills out of nearly all the top 10 teams or something like that. Probably one of the best rotating teams in the world right now, I'd say.
So after that we have G2 Esports, who picked up a Finnish team. And for those that don't know, two of those players played together with Snipetown at X Games, which were Mimu and 0-0. So basically after X Games they split off again. Some people were kind of surprised, like, oh, you did so well, why would you split off? And I think in general, of course, they've been playing with their own Finnish for longer, as well as it removes your language barrier. They can speak in their native language, and I think that generally should increase a ton of like communication.
Yeah, it was also the fact that Snapdown is still in America, and it's kind of hard to practice for someone that's across the world. So having someone close is going to be a lot better for the practice.
Yes, I agree. I just think the barrage language is the main thing in my opinion. Like it does. If you're used to not speaking English, it just makes it much easier. And I think it was completely right. You know, they decided to go to X Games because they had this opportunity. But it would be in a sort of sense wrong by them to just change a team up because of one result. Like they've proved over and over in Pro League how good they are with this full roster. And I think the fact they did so well at XM only reinforces the fact that they're actually really good players.
I think general, even for the top 10 later, I think that this is one of the European teams that you'll look out for to make it there, I guess.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt.
So I think G2 did a really solid job in picking it up. Like, I love the York as always, and with this pick I'm just yes. So glad.
Oh god, dude.
So
I'm glad they waited to like pick any orgs and stuff like that. I'm scared. I'm not gonna say scared, but I think if they found an org before X Games, it might have been a different type of org.
Yeah. So next up is Gambit, who picked up Fire Beavers. Fire Beavers itself went through a bit of changes over the while. So Fire Beavers has been playing in EU Pro League as well, but their roster has generally switched up a bit, and then they were playing the Face It series, which they won.
Just insane that they won.
They had they even swapped up the roster, because I think after the Face It series, the roster was Artiku, Leogri 6, and Hardeki, and then they dropped Hardeki and brought on Siegen, if I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah, I Siegen. I don't know. I'm
Norwegian
not sure.
Player.
He can insult us when he sees this and sees he didn't just say his name like
butchered it. And after that, I think when X Games got announced, they also told me like, hey, Sunset also joined the team, and then I think Leogri left because he wasn't. I think he was younger than 18, and if you came from Russia, you had to be 18 to participate.
I think that was Hardeki, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, they dropped Hardeki earlier.
Okay, so then there might have been problems with both of them. Anyways,
both of them were like under 18, fairly sure.
Yeah.
So they played with Sunset. They played with him before, back when the team was 9 Impulse, who left way earlier to join Navi, Artiku, and then Sunset. Yeah, I keep switching it up, but that PKM came, but he's on Navi.
But I really like this lineup. I really like the pickup of I'm not gonna butcher him again, but Sign. I'm gonna go with Sign, and then if I butcher it, that's fine. But I really like his pickup, and I think it's a really strong team. I was really interested to seeing how they would do with, if we call it a language barrier, because
Yeah.
Russians are usually not that good at speaking English. So I would be interested to see how that works. But I'm gonna be honest, seeing them from practice, they seem to be doing well. So I don't think they're gonna have any
Yeah.
problems.
They're going to be
They're all really good players.
Yeah, they're 100% going to be like top 5 in the group, no doubt.
Next up is HSL Esports, which is an org that mainly came from Overwatch, and they picked up Freshy, Krems, and Ronba.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, a third player. Oh. No.
Yeah.
So, in general, they played a lot of like EU Pro League before, and two of the players were on their Barrage Esports earlier, but Barrage dropped them because they were like, there isn't much happening. It's not really a good investment, but yeah, they generally just finished higher up, but I don't know much else about them.
Yeah, I think they're just a normal, consistent team. Like I think they can do damage on any given day, but I wouldn't put them in the people that are most probable going through this group. Let's say, we're gonna make it at the end, but I think they have a real chance. I'm just saying, I wouldn't put them at the top right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think they have a chance, but it's hard to call. Then there's Luminosity. Luminosity is a bit weird because Yogi left, which was I think he played Caustic at like X Games. He left, and at X Games they first announced Sloth as their player, but at X Games they played with Crank, and they're still playing with him. And I think Sloth just never announced his departure, I guess. So the only one really standing from the first one was Chipsy, and I think they're playing with JP2 at Krakow.
All right, which used to be in 100 Thieves, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And generally, I don't know how good JP2 is. I've never really seen anything from 100 Thieves apart from the Kill Race series, which they were somewhere around pretty low, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not too sure where to rank them, honestly. Because I don't like they won like the first round of X Games. They won, and I was genuinely surprised. Like, oh shit, are they gonna be a contender? And then they just sort of dropped off. I'm just like,
yeah, that was pretty absurd. Like they won the first game, and then they ended up something like 14th.
Yeah. I think
but
in general it was the zone that surprised people in like the first round, and they were pretty lucky with it. But
I don't know. I think they're a decent team, and it'll be interesting to see how they do with the new lineup. I think Yogi quit like 2 weeks ago as well, so like it was literally smack in the middle of probably practicing for this.
Yeah, that's insane though.
For this event. One thing I'm gonna put them above a lot of teams is they definitely have the LAN experience on Apex compared to other teams, because being at X Games is probably gonna give you that big boost of LAN experience on this game.
Definitely, no doubt.
No.
Yeah.
Then next up is Monkey Business, the top team in that group, which is Orkless at the moment. I'm pretty sure the main leader of the team is Sweezy, if he's playing with them. And basically, it was a Czechian team, but all the other players left, and he brought on some American players who used to play for Polar Ace Black, and they finished pretty highly in like the later seasons of NA Pro League. But other than that, like I have no idea how they're gonna perform.
No, I think it's really interesting because. The thing is, it's a mixed team with like 2 Americans and 1 Indian. So I really don't know what to expect from it. I think they're like one of those dark horses.
Yeah, it's like how Reciprocity was really when they picked up Snapdown. Like they didn't practice them at all, so it's just we just have to see how it plays out.
Right. Yeah. It's just we'll see how they do. I think then there's North. I'm really looking forward to watching them play, mostly because I really love watching Monda's streams. But he's a really funny dude. But I think they have a really good roster as well. But Matafa can't play because of the nationality issues. So they brought on Nuke, which is a UK player.
Yeah, Nuke was playing for my team was trying out for my team before this happened, and his gun skill is like insane. Like he can hold a gun and do well with it. It's just it's going to be weird because they haven't been practicing too long though. They've been practicing for like a week or so. So having Matafi, hopefully I'm saying his name right, out is kind of it's going to hurt their synergy a little bit.
Yeah, but I think the strong part about North is they are a very run and gun team. So like, as long as the person bringing in has aim, I think it's just gonna boost their gameplay.
There's no doubt. No, it definitely does.
If they're gonna hit shots, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Then there's Khazar Red, which is a Brazilian team, but now I have to wait.
It's the old C9 Brazilian team.
The old C9 Brazilian team. So they're the ones that brought on Exco, the Canadian player.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, basically from what I gathered back then is that the Brazilian squad was better than the American Cloud9 squad. But other than that, I don't really have a general idea. Because there was a Brazilian Pro League as well. Or, well, South America. Correct me. And they didn't play in that, so I don't know how they compare to like other Latin American teams or anything. But I think they've themselves been really happy with their pickup of Exco.
Okay. I'm not sure. I think well, at least I know it's a team that's played a lot of leagues or at least scrims in like out of the South American teams, probably the team that has most experience in this type of gameplay. So I would probably rank them as the highest South American team just based on experience, but I might be wrong.
Yeah. So up there next is SG2. Oh no, not SGP2, which is the Polish team.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you forgot SJ.
Yeah, I kind of just messed up, so I just went with the one that I pronounced correctly. I'll skip to the Finnish team. That's neither. So SGP2 is the Polish team that's gonna be representing their home country. In general, like they have a pretty regular placement in EU Pro League, which is especially in the later seasons you'll see them popping up higher, but you could say the quality of the later seasons was a bit less. But other than that, they've mostly been playing in like kill race tournaments, which they've really just done good. So at least they can frag. But I think that's a general assessment for like every team here.
And then we have SGB2, which is Polish team, which is in my opinion is a bit of a known quantity.
I'm actually so happy that Keo got the invite though to represent his home country. He wanted to so bad, and I'm so happy that he's actually got to go. So I can't wait to see him play. Actually,
yeah, exactly. So there's SGA Gaming, and they're basically the other Finnish team, I'd say. They're not G2, but they are. Basically they did well as well in the later pro leagues. And other than that, they're in like the Finnish they had their own league running as well, but that was kill races. But generally they were either first or second, depending of if the G2 squad played or not.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think from when I talked to Mimu, he was like, we were second until like the last day, and then we just decided, let's just try, and then they suddenly rose up in points and won the tournament, and we're like, now we get money. Nice.
Oh well. But they're a consistent team, I'd say. This is the thing, it's hard to like rank certain teams. I would put them as like, solid teams that can do top 10, but it's not a team I would put, in my consistent top 10.
I think what helps them is that they made a swap right after. They made a swap pretty later on, and they brought in, I think, Rob, which he played Overwatch professionally, so I think he just brings in experience. Which is gonna help them.
No, yeah, for sure. And also by top 10, I mean top 10 in the group, obviously, not top 10 final.
Yeah. So next up is Team Liquid White. I generally just I know that they split up the Liquid team and there's gonna be a couple of extra players, but it's just not been announced yet. So
do we know who's in Team Liquid White? No, we don't. Okay.
I know, one is led by Kali. and the other one
Okay.
is Casper and Flanker.
Okay, so this one is the one led by Kali. Okay, so we don't really know who are the other
Yeah.
Venezuelans.
Yeah.
Well, I guess there are not no
I
quantity.
guess,
Then not much we can say.
What people might have expected, like maybe Mendo's gonna play because Team Liquid picked him up, but he's not gonna.
That would be interesting.
But
That would be interesting to see him play.
But yeah, before that there was basically a bit of a split up, and 3 of the previous Liquid players left, and then they picked up only Mendo, and then the old team. No, well, the old team half left, like Rogue, Guiche, and Nastical, they left, and then Kali, Flanker, and Casper, they stayed. And then they built 2 squads, but we just don't know who yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then the group closes in with the 3 last teams, which are Third Impact, Triumph, and Wyvern.
Yeah, ex-Pepega Squadron, Third Impact.
Third Impact, ex-Pepega Squadron. Probably at a certain point, I think a team that a lot of people believe to be the best European team before the rise of the now G2.
Yep.
And then they lost Sign to Fire Beavers, and now they picked up Forsaken.
Yeah, who previously played Overwatch for FaZe Clan, but the other 2 players, Balonji and Fjaldern, they played competitive H1Z1. I'll be honest, I literally don't know anything about competitive H1Z1. I only know they played for Epsilon, and they were, I think they were in the Pro League that was set up, but don't quote me on this if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm from. I'm not from H1Z1 either, and I don't.
Yeah, I'm from Counter-Strike and Crossfire, dude. That's all I have. I've got nothing more.
So I think, generally they're gonna be one of the teams that's probably gonna finish top 10 in the group, probably top 5, I'd say as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, they're just consistent across the board, and they have the firepower to do it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So there's Triumph, which the organization also came from Overwatch, kind of like HSL. And they brought on their squad like pretty early on, because they were all ex-Overwatch players, which were Fenias, Avokia, and Graceful. But Avokia, he can play due to being Lithuanian. So they brought on JMW, which is the UK player, which I'm gonna wait and see how they perform with their sub.
Yeah, I think he's a young UK player. He seems to be a really good player, but I think with young players, every time there's a thing about nerves that we always need to watch out for, especially at LAN. So I think it's a really good roster, even with the sub. But I think there's always a question mark. But I would say they have a high probability of getting top 10 in the group.
No. So then there is Wyvern, which is a Korean team. I don't know much about the Korean scene, obviously. So generally, I think Wyvern in the kill races, they finished top together with MVP and a couple other teams, and they're generally just been really high ranked. Their player Sally previously played Overwatch for Cloud9 and Team Griffin and that kind of stuff. And basically, when I heard T1 talking about them, they're like, yeah, these are just like insane Koreans from Overwatch. There's a reason they're really good at the game. So I am looking to seeing how they perform against like other teams, and I generally just have the expectations of the Korean overlords having grinded their way up and knowing how to play the game.
Fair enough. Yeah. So we have all the groups of all the teams in Group A, and now it's down to predictions. Who do you guys think are the teams that are sort of certain to go through, or we think are pretty much sort of certain to go through? And as we were saying, like Group A and Group B, sort of, in my opinion, have the teams are stand out a bit more in who will go through. To be honest.
Yeah.
Alliance is definitely going through. There's no doubt about that.
Alliance, I don't know if you touched on this. They dropped Lazaxer, and picked up Bodoli, and Bodoli is like a nutty Danish player. So basically, when I was like talking with a friend of mine about Alliance, I think he stated like back with their old squad, they lacked like a clear voice in their team. Like they were all good players, but it's just generally they were a bit too passive with decision making. And I think like I don't speak Swedish obviously, but watching their games, I generally just kind of like that seems to be the issue they have going for them. Because especially at like X Games, when I was watching with someone else, we were like watching the games, and then it's like Alliance, like, what are you doing? You're not making the right decision at the right time. So I hope Badoli can change it up.
Yeah, he's an insane player. At least really good aim wise, and I think pretty aggressive. So like it's gonna be interesting to see their change of style. But yeah, I agree with Alliance. I think Alliance is a team that is 100% going through, or at least at least it seems so. And I think the next one I'm gonna say coming down the list is BDS.
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think about them,
Definitely.
but I think they're
Oh, your audio dropped out.
no, that they're gonna go through.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. No, I think they're more than likely they'll probably get top 5 in the group. For sure.
Yeah, I think they're generally just gonna be one of like the French teams to prove that their region, their country is gonna be just generally a threat. I mean, like if you like come from CS:GO, you know, like the French scene, and they're gonna shuffle around.
Oh god.
I kind of
different
like when I was
orgs.
like looking at like the orcs, like 3D Max dropped their roster and then they picked up a new one and they dropped it again. I was like, oh no, it's gonna be French CS all over again.
Dude, just swapping players all the time, dude.
Yeah.
And then obviously I'd say Fnatic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that little combo of 3 of Fnatic, G2, Gambit are one after the other are pretty confirmed in my opinion, or should be.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. Especially G2 and Gambit for me. And I'd probably, on like the lower end, I'd probably see North. I just want to know how they're gonna do with their playstyle of running.
I think they'll get out, but they're going to get out probably 8th, not through 10th. I don't think they'll be top 5.
Who's this? Sorry, I missed out. North?
North, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think North are interesting. I wouldn't put them in certain qualification, but I think they will get through. But
definitely.
like I feel like Third Impact, Triumph have a better chance than them, in my opinion.
And then I think in terms of like dark horses, I think like Team Liquid, obviously, because we just don't know.
Yeah.
Officially,
Wyvern for sure.
And Wyvern.
Yeah.
And then I think and Complexity, I would put Complexity in as well.
Oh, yeah.
In the dark sources, and I think everyone else can sort of play it, but I wouldn't really expect them to be in top 10. But if they do, I wouldn't really be surprised either. You know, like you're at a point where they have a chance, but I think the other teams are just better.
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed out on someone as well on the way of putting them onto like dark horses or not, but that's pretty much it, at least for this group.
Yeah, I think that's pretty set. So let's move on to Group B.
Yep.
So first team there is Forehead, very nice team name. That's the like they got the invite through Linz, the streamer, and she picked up Pain from Sentinels, who played with the squad before Xenox joined.
Yeah.
And then Pride, which is I think a fairly young American player, or I might be mixing that up with another one. Yeah, I'm not expecting too much from them, to be honest, but yeah, generally they're a mixed team, and they have been practicing together for Krakow, but it's not like they played before a lot.
Yeah. I don't see them getting out.
Also, an interesting fact of this group is there's 5 girls in the tournament, and they're all in this group.
Oh, that's interesting, actually.
Oh yeah, wait, 79, which is the next team. They also have. I forgot. But I think 79 actually has a chance.
Oh, actually, yes. I agree.
They're like a Russian team. They're really good, but the one issue going in is that their Ukrainian player, Godspeed Neko, or Alexander, he switched his name.
Yeah.
He couldn't go because his parents were like, no, you can't.
I heard about that. Dude.
It's him and AKU who've both been blocked by their parents, and it's really sad.
Yeah, that's actually super sad for them not to go.
So they picked up Exens, which he played with Roflan Q, which is like the team of Hardeki and Leogri, who were on Fire Beavers. So I think like that's one of like the Russian players that shuffles around a bit. I think he's good, but yeah, it's just they have to swap with a player, so that's gonna probably affect them a little.
No, yeah, but I think they're a good team. They're a very dangerous team, and they've done well in Pro League, even with Godspeed, obviously, but with Neko. But I think this is the one game, I think, in my opinion, where changing one player doesn't really destroy your whole idea behind the game. I think as long as you're keeping a base of two, then you're pretty strong going forward. Let's say.
All right. So after that, this AQ. I'm not gonna pronounce their whole name because it's horrible.
Dude, don't. I don't
I'm
know
not gonna
either.
butcher this. They're a green team because they have two squads. Basically, their first green team was Odd Fluffy.
Matrix and Hakis.
Yeah, but Matrix and Hackis both left to other teams.
Yeah.
And then they picked up. First, I picked up two other players, but one couldn't play because he was Lithuanian. So Mr. Lelcat came in from the purple team they then picked up. So they swapped that around a bit. So yeah, with their first initial squad with Matrix and Hakis, I was like, yeah, these guys are pretty good. Then they could probably finish the damage, but I don't know about this squad, like how they're gonna fare up, because I just haven't seen a lot of from them. Especially after they had to do another swap with one of their players.
True. I think they're a question mark. I think they're a question mark for everyone. It's one of those teams that say that not a lot of people are expecting top 10, but I think they can make it, and nobody would be surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Then there's Cooler, which is the other French team. They picked up Benched, and they're like in the French Pro League. They've also just been generally at the top, and in the later Pro League, I think it was them and New Hope both finishing really high together with Games Origin. So yeah, I think the same general assessment as I had for the other for BDS. It's kind of the same for me. What I'm expecting from them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I actually rated Cooler pretty low at the start. I'm gonna go before even the last season where they did really well, but they've been impressing me. I think they made a change as well, right? They've made a change a while ago. Is Aski one of the people, or was he out there the whole time?
No. Amaz, he's new.
Okay,
Aski and Lager, they were with another player on 3D Max.
Yeah, exactly. And I think since they've added Amaz, they've gotten better leaps and bounds, and it's actually a team I rate decently well now, quite highly. But they made a really good impression. Cooler, and I think they have a good chance as well.
So up then is Dream It, which is the girl team, I'd say. So yeah, I generally don't know. I don't think they've been playing like EU Pro League or anything.
No, I don't think they've been playing anything, to be honest.
So it's like one of the teams these teams like we don't know a lot about them. I think at the start people were kind of joking that they weren't even like highly ranked as well, but I'm not gonna say like ranked is gonna be a clarification for skill in that sense.
No. I don't think ranked mattered as much to show skill, but I don't know. I think nobody knows really what to say about them. I think a lot of people are expecting them to be at the bottom. Maybe you're wrong, maybe you're right. There's no information to say otherwise.
Yeah, we have nothing to go off of, so there's not much we can say at all.
That's literally the fact. We don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know. It's up in the air.
I know they're fun people on Twitter, at least.
Yeah.
So then there's EBC, which is an Australian team. I think Cryptic had to drop out from the tournament. Something with family issues, or he had to stay home. So I don't know who they refer this, but I think they've generally just been, for like the Australian teams, they've been practicing a lot in the Scrim Discord, and I think they could have, like, in terms of like Australian teams, they were one of the better ones together with Kamikaze. But yeah, I don't know how Wooder's new third is gonna be and how they're gonna perform with him.
Yeah, I think that's the thing nobody knows because of how the new third is, and everything changed so close to the tournament. So, meh, I think they have a chance, but as once again, they're a question mark at this point.
So then we have Herbania Esports, which is
Yeah,
primarily a Spanish team, but they picked up Hackers from AQ.
yeah.
Yep.
This is the old Vasax team, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they're a strong team. They had a really strong finish last season. When I say last season of Pro League, I usually consider right before the Poland scrim starts.
Yeah. Of
Uh,
course.
Which is, I think, season
even
5, right?
even season 5, I think. Yeah, even though there was another season before, well, right after that, right, which was 6 has just finished like a couple of weeks
I
ago.
think 7 is going on right now, so.
Yeah, 6 finished a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and I think 5 is the really cut-off season in a sort of sense for me, in my opinion, where teams you still had a bit of competition at least before Poland,
Yeah.
and they did really well in the last one. So they're a team I expect to do well, decently well at least. I don't know what has changed with the addition of Hakis. What I do know is Minichenko was a really good player and could change fights on his own. Is it Minikunga? Is it Minikunga or
Um,
I mix Kichenko and Minikunga? I think.
could be. I think Minikunga's out and they kept Chikensho.
Yeah. So like that's what I was saying is like the Hakis took the spot of Minikunga, and obviously they used to speak Spanish and now they're probably speaking English, and that might
Yes.
change. But I think they're a good team. They have a good chance of going through top 10.
I think
Of this
it's
group.
pretty funny. Like they pulled a similar move, like Succubus, which is in another group. They also were the
Yeah.
first 3 Spanish players, and they picked up a Swede.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed pretty funny to me. Yeah. So after that, we have Isurus Gaming, which is an
Yeah.
Argentinian team,
Mhm.
and one of their players is Chilean. I just know that they've been like trying to play as many tournaments as possible, especially like in the South American things. So that's what I know most about them. Like they played a lot of tournaments. So, like I don't know how good they are because obviously most of that has been kill races.
Mhm. Well,
But I
in
can definitely
the
say they're motivated.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
in the Apex Pro South American like League Season 1, they got 4th out of 17.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the
Not
first
sure.
team there was the other Khazar team, which was
Mhm.
Blockbuster.
Yep.
Yeah. Which we'll get to because they're also in this group.